Hola, I'm Elias Torres, co-founder and CTO of Drift. You are listening to the American Dream podcast. Did you know that Drift is part of just 2% of VC-backed startups led by Latin American founders? Well, I'm on a mission to change that. On this show, you will hear from leaders who have achieved their own version of the American dream. We'll talk about what the process looked like to get there, the obstacles they faced along the way, and the work we still have to do to build the new face of a diverse corporate America. Bienvenidos a todos to the American Dream podcast, where we only interview passionate people. Nah, just kidding. I'm just messing with the intro now. Today, Aydin joins me on the show. Ashley is the principal investor of VamosVentures, a venture capital investing in diverse team in the earliest stages across health and wellness, commerce, fintech, future of work, sustainability. With over 88% of VamosVentures' initial capital invested in Latinx-led companies, Ashley and I are going to talk about why she's choosing to invest in diverse-backed companies, how she got interested in venture capital, and why Latinos make great entrepreneurs. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I love this. So that last name does not sound Latina. What's going on? Tell me a little bit about that background.
Yeah, for sure. So my dad's Turkish, and he immigrated to this country when he was in his early 20s. So that explains the last name.
There you go.
And then
How do you pronounce it?
It's Aydin, but
Aydin.
people say Aydin all the time. I just don't mind either one. The Ashley Aydin flow is actually better because of the double A's. But my mom's the Puerto Rican one, and she's from Brooklyn. Traditional Puerto Rican Brooklyn girl. Yeah. And so very passionate on both sides, clearly, and a lot of good food, a lot of culture, a lot of loud conversations, which I very much appreciated growing up. And so that's my background, and I'm from New York, and always appreciated that because I think growing up, I just saw a lot of diversity, a lot of folks from different walks of life. And that very much, I think, started to inform my career decisions and my journey.
Cheers. That's like the triple loudness, triple passionate, direct, Latina, Turkish, New Yorker.
Well, yeah,
Jeez.
you got to appreciate the hustle, Oh
my God, the hustle. You got it. That's for sure. It's like, you're just like overflowing with the hustle. So, okay, this is the test if you're truly Latina. That Aydin stuff is just throwing me off. You got VamosVentures. You're like Latina 100%. What's your favorite Puerto Rican food?
Oh my God. I mean, this is a cop-out, but I have to say a good old rice and beans and then flan. My grandma makes the best flan, and I have the recipe. I will not share, but I will tell you there's a lot of coconut in it.
That's a solid answer. I mean, I think that's not a cop-out. I mean, I think actually that's I don't know. I want to try to sound cool. That's hard right there. You're like, you just went in like straight for rice and beans.
I just went traditional, But
is it beans? But I mean, I don't know. My understanding is in Puerto Rico is arroz con gandules.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mean that, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's loaded. It's absolutely loaded, and it keeps you full.
Yeah, because I mean, in Nicaragua we eat red beans, and so like, so we don't eat the gandules, but it's like, wow, you start off, what's your favorite food? You don't try to be like, oh, well, this like lobster mofongo.
I'm not trying to be, just the old school rice and beans. Fill me up with them and I'm good. And then, top it off with a nice flan.
And a nice flan. Yeah, that's great. Flan, it is my favorite dessert. Absolutely. 1,000%.
The consistency just gets you.
What's the consistency? What? Tell me what's your consistency on that?
The consistency on that, so I like a very... So I don't, coconut's very polarizing, I found, for a lot of people.
I actually...
Yeah, some people don't like coconut, but I love coconut. I just grew up so much around it. And so I love it very much with coconut flakes on the top and inside. And I like a very, not almost like a Jell-O consistency, a little softer than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we agree on consistency, disagree on the coconut.
Yeah.
My flan has to be velvety smooth when you cut. You can't be like... the cut of the spoon has to be just like perfect.
It can't be bouncy.
It cannot be, no, but it's just, the texture just breaks away when you have the flakes of the coconut.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law likes it coconutty, and she makes it like that, and I cannot deal with that. It needs to be really jiggly. It has to be jiggly, soft, nice. nice browned,
Oh, a nice
butter.
browning with the sugar, absolutely. And
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes my grandma puts lemon in it, interestingly enough, to give it like bit of a tangy, a
Yeah.
tang to it. So I don't really like it that much. I say, please just leave the
Yeah.
coconut and all the milk and all the cream, and I'm good to go.
I could do rice and beans and then a flat. But okay, we're here to talk about how do we create great success for Latinos underrepresented, be a role model. Um, Tell me, speaking of role models,
Yeah.
what do you think made the biggest difference in your life? Like, well, how'd you get here from where in New York?
I'm from Staten Island, so I'm from the forgotten borough of New York City. And, talking about role models in my life, I mean, this is very much just my parents. I mean, I saw my dad, again, immigrate at such an early age to this country, and my mom just starting work basically out of high school, and them always instilling in me, that hard work ethic. You have to work hard to get what you want. They weren't, they were both dropouts. And so I'm a first generation college student as well. And so because of that, I think they also instilled in me that education is basically, well, one, it's really, really important. And two, it's a gateway to a lot of networks and really great people that could potentially help you out in wealth generation and getting to the next step in achieving this American dream. And so I've always prioritized that. I think because my parents, I mean, my dad's more, he was a porter in a building. He's been in real estate and just worked his way up. And then my mom, a U.S. postal worker. And so I didn't really have, these venture capitalists or, investors or founders around me growing up to say, I want to be like that person. And so I think my dad and my mom did such a wonderful job at exposing me to stories at a young age where I, could say, wait, I want to be like that person, like that path to founding a company or that path to investing in companies or being in finance or, that is very achievable no matter what your background. And that was so powerful to me. So much so that, I worked really hard academically. And I, developed the story for myself of that I wanted to break into sort of the startup ecosystem at first because I didn't really know what venture capital was in the earliest days. I found that out more in college. But I applied to my top choice school, worked hard in high school, applied to my top choice school, Brown University, and got in luckily and was very much focused on, these traditional careers at first because that's all I kind of knew, and that I was like, okay, this is a safe bet, just knowing my background. So law, finance. And I said to myself, let me, go on that path, at least out of school. But in the meantime, I still had this curiosity about the founding journey and entrepreneurship. And so I started getting involved at Brown in the Brown Entrepreneurship Program in Lady Launchers, which is a group I started around women interested in the entrepreneurial journey and in the founding journey. And then soon enough, I got to develop more of a perspective there with guest speakers coming in, with me just being around people who had more of an entrepreneurial mindset. But I did sell my soul and went to work in finance after graduation. Because again, that's sort of what I wanted as a baseline to give me sort of the network and the skill set that I could then go out and do anything else. So I did capital markets at Morgan Stanley. And that was such a wonderful job looking back because it was very much markets driven and you had to tell stories about companies. And so that is very true in the venture capital and startup space, in that you're always storytelling, whether you're a founder, storytelling and trying to get people to come join you on this crazy journey, or an investor trying to pitch the rest of your team. This is the best company since sliced bread.
You got the it factor. You got the talking part of the Latina for sure. So, which is good. I mean, but it is. I mean, it is one of the most powerful things that we can learn how to do.
Absolutely.
Is to tell a good story. And just could get you so far.
Absolutely.
Get you into places. The forgotten borough of New York. I know one thing about Staten Island.
Is it the food?
No. Is where the Wu-Tang Clan is from.
Yes. We take pride in the Wu-Tang Clan. We take pride in our Italian food mostly. We have the best pizza and bagels. Sorry, Brooklyn. Okay. And just a lot of wonderful, hardworking people. It's known as sort of more of the, they call it the borough of the trees, actually, along with the forgotten borough. It's more suburban. And,
Oh,
growing up, a lot of my friends, and I'm very appreciative of this because I have friends from all different types of backgrounds and, jobs. And a lot of my friends growing up, became cops, firefighters, teachers. And I'm still very in touch with, I'm not in sort of this venture startup, sexy job type of bubble. I still am very close to my roots, and I'm still very close to that group of friends and my upbringing. And so I think it's just a wonderful juxtaposition, if you will, seeing all different worlds.
yeah, absolutely. It's something that, in some ways, I feel like sometimes I feel like I don't belong anywhere, right? And I'm just like, where do I belong? Like,
Yeah.
I could be, at a big gala I was at a gala for the first time, black tie event this past week, and with some fancy people. And I'm like, I can be here, but I just don't belong here.
Yeah.
And I can be with I'm not friends with like state people, like police people, but I'm friends with people of all diverse and ethnic backgrounds.
Absolutely.
And I love to be able to jump all the layers and be with everybody and really enjoy myself in all the situations, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think there's an interesting part of that too as it relates to sort of venture capital and startup world, and that I think a lot of overlooked and traditionally underserved folks and demographics in this space. I have a lot of people come to me and say, like, Ashley, do I even have anything important to say? Because I'm not from, XYZ background. I didn't have, these types of parents. I didn't come from, this type of wealth. And so there's a sense of imposter syndrome of like, do I deserve to be here? And do I have something important to say? And I think it's so important, especially in this venture capital startup world, that there is a diversity of perspective and that everyone brings their own lived experience, work experience to light and share their thoughts. A lot of people don't have a problem with sharing their thoughts, even though it's said many, many times. And so I think sometimes we hold ourselves back because there is this sense of imposter syndrome and do I belong? And that's just not true. We all belong and we're all capable of getting here.
My understanding is VCs don't know really what they're doing, right? It's like nobody really knows. Like,
yeah, everyone's figuring it out.
It's like the best in the world. Like, there's patterns, there's this, but how do you make a decision out of thousands that this person is going to make it? Like, I was talking to a VC this morning on my way here to the office, and he was like, Elias, this guy, he has the it factor, he's going to make it, blah blah blah, but needs help with this. And I'm just like, yeah, he has the it factor, right? Okay, what is the it factor? And it's like, and you could have the it factor and still not make it because of market conditions or whatever, right? So just for people to understand that being a VC, you don't know what you do. Like, it's like you're lucky to have access. You do have to work hard, right? You have to hustle, you have to meet, you have to be nice, you have to know how to treat people, how to build a reputation. But other than that, it's like, I don't know how much of it is really finance, right?
Yeah. Well, I will say that, there are different studies on this. And so, like, to your...
By the way, what do I know? I'm not a VC.
Well, I think you bring up a really great point, though, and you do actually do know a lot in the sense that I think a lot of people are still figuring it out. Like, everyone's figuring it out, and this industry is shaped in such a way in that you have to be a self-promoter a lot of times because you have to say, I have this expertise. I am going to help your company scale. I bring this to the table. And so it's constant self-promotion in that I think a lot of folks forget it's at the end of the day, investing, to your point, in really great people with that it factor. What is that it factor? I do think that you develop that perspective over time with like pattern recognition and just more reps in and talking to more really great folks. But I think that also biases people. There's a flip side to that, and it biases people in that, the most successful entrepreneur isn't necessarily, the traditional white male from Stanford or Harvard or MIT, right? There are many pockets and areas of this country where there's such a hub of entrepreneurship that just isn't on a traditional VC's radar. And that's why a fund like VamosVentures exists. It's almost demystifying. It's to demystify the venture capital space on the investor side and on the founder side, in the sense that 2% of VC funding just about goes to female founders. Less than that goes to Latinos and Black founders, and so they're out there, but VCs are not really looking for them. And again, that's why VamosVentures is here. But I think we're very much of the belief that there's a huge opportunity in this growing demographic that is the Latino demographic, and all diverse demographics for that matter, and that we need to pay more attention to this. And then on the investor side, that we need to create a pipeline for more diverse folks to be in capital allocator seats. Because if you don't have the experience on the other side, how are you going to understand that a Puerto Rican girl from New York is capable of, building the next unicorn, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think VC is broken right now, right? It is really, I don't know what the hell is going on, right? It's just like, before, back in the day, you can raise $100 million, and then you can make $100 million. You can triple that. You know what I mean? It's doable.
Sure.
You can find nice hit, nice home run, and return the fund.
Absolutely.
But now, if you raise $1 billion, you raise $2 billion, like, what do you need to, like, how many Figmas do you need to make it? You probably need like multiple Figmas. Right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, what if you're only going to make own 10% of Figma, that's $2 billion, but you raise $2 billion, right? So like, how many people are going to get a Figma? It's like nobody.
The stakes are definitely higher, and I think it almost disadvantages diverse emerging managers because the stakes are so high. They're expecting LPs are mostly traditional, like it's nice to see that some of them are going in the direction of giving these emerging diverse managers a chance, but the stakes are so high in that I think emerging managers and new funds need to almost prove themselves more than traditional ones. And that is, to your point, I think it's a broken system. And so we need LPs who are giving these funds capital to actually give us a shot and show that we could do it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I don't know, I don't know too much about the history. I'm just like starting to pick my head from the entrepreneurial world of, I was just like heads down.
Yeah.
It feels like maybe this is the first generation of Latino GPs. Is this with General Partners, right? This is kind of like the first big wave. Of
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And what you're saying is for people that don't have a full understanding of the system, it's like we like, people want the LPs, the people with the money, right? It could be the endowments, it could be the states, it could be like the family offices. They're looking to where they put their money in. And so what do they want? They want reliability, they want predictability, they want the reputation, they want the history, they want to be able to say, I'm going to put my money where the firm has always returned money.
Yeah.
And so when you come in, if it's your first time, especially, which is the whole new wave of Latino GPs, then we're like, okay, why should I put my money there? Like, they've never done this before. So this is a struggle that we're in. We're trying to get this first wave to build a reputation, which is going to take 10 years.
Yeah.
And so, and there's not that many. How many Latino GPs are in the U.S.?
There's not that many. I mean, along with VamosVentures, I mean, there are several others other than this, but like LatVC, Mendoza, Inicio Ventures. These are all sort of the funds that are focused on sort of the Latino opportunity, that are led by, Latino GPs and founders and just deep operational founding, investing experience. But we need more of them. The opportunity is huge. And I don't think, LPs and other stakeholders are realizing, 1 in 4 new businesses are started by Latinos. We're going to be 30% plus of the population pretty soon. And we're the most entrepreneurial group out there, demographic out there right now.
As long as we keep making babies, this is the only way this is going to happen. Like, we're going to be forced, right? It's just going to be no choice.
Yeah.
So at least we got that going for the Latinos.
Absolutely. But we need to band more together. I think we're all pretty dispersed and siloed, and like there's power in community. And that's why I focus a lot on community building. It's like some of these Latino investors, entrepreneurs don't even know each other here in New York. And I want to bring everyone together, and, hopefully we could build the ecosystem in that way too.
Now you're speaking my language, the community. There is no community. What is the community? Teach me about the community. I was just in New York this weekend. I was like, where was the Latino community at the VC?
Yeah.
Where do I find it?
So there are two wonderful organizations that I think are the early innings of what this could eventually be, which is all of us hopefully working better together. There's VC Familia and there's Latinx VC. VC Familia is more founders, investors, operators coming together. There's events, there's mentorship, there's conversation on Slack. Latinx VC is more geared towards VCs, traditional VCs, and bringing all of us together, connectivity to LPs, as emerging fund managers. Again, also has a Slack with a lot of amazing conversation, job postings, opportunities. So those are the two that come to mind that I'm very involved in. But I think in terms of in-person and more geographically based, there needs to be more. There needs to, I think, in my humble opinion, champions who are geographically based, who are very heavily networked, that do this stuff on maybe a monthly or quarterly basis. They say, let's get the entire tech ecosystem together, meaning that it could be maybe 30 or 40 people at a time, but the goal is to get more people to know each other. And let's just have a really intimate, real conversation as to what it means to be Latino in this space and how we could all genuinely help each other. Doesn't matter if you're Puerto Rican, Mexican, Dominican, whatnot. We need to help each other out, and we need to make our mark in this country, and even more so help each other out from a wealth generation standpoint, because the more money we have, I think the better we could do as well, and the better we could pay it forward.
1,000% agree. Right. I think the key word is help each other. Is that we have to understand how do we become more selfless or understand that the more we give, the more comes back, right?
Yeah.
I think that I love that. I think the question is it in person, right? Is that what we need? What is it? Connectedness? Is it people with money? Is it lessons? Is it teaching, right? Is it like I said, I have a white investor contacting me to talk to a white founder to help them scale the business that it could be the difference between a 500 million business and a $5 billion business, because this guy needs help on how to level up the team, how to hire at scale, how to do these things that I've done. So he's asking me for advice, but I can be giving that advice to my Latino family, right? And so but the question is, who wants to hear it? How do we organize it? How do we put in the effort, right? To do things. What does our community need?
I think our community needs, well, first and foremost, education, that these paths do exist. So I often say this, and I may be wrong in this, but I think even starting early as middle school and high school of teaching young kids and Latinos, Latinas, that there is an interesting path, and it's a path to, again, wealth generation, in that you found a company and you scale and build a company. Yes, it's a daunting path. Yes, it's very high likelihood that you might fail a few times, but why not try it and do it? And we're such, as Latinos, we like to build, we like to do things, we like to hustle, and so it's inherent in our culture and in our nature to go out and build things and be creative and make an impact. And so, one, educate them that these paths exist, even on the venture side, that an investing career is also potentially very lucrative. And in that, developing a certain expertise over time and then breaking into the venture capital space, you could have a really big impact on the companies that are coming to market, that are scaling, that are making a difference in the world. So I think it's education, one. As part of that, I think it's mentorship and paying it forward, in that, folks like you, very successful, know the entrepreneurial journey and path and have a wonderful story. spending the time and making the time to mentor folks who are from our community, who are very interested in this path, but maybe it is daunting. Maybe they don't know how to take the leap. Maybe they don't know how to scale a company, or at least have a mentor to make them feel comfortable that they could share this stuff with. And I think it's just being genuine and truthful and real in a mentorship capacity. So it's almost like, a lot of these organizations have started mentorship programs, and that they match junior investors with senior investors, founders with other successful founders. And it's such a wonderful thing. We actually had our founder summit about 4 weeks ago, a month ago, in San Francisco. And our portfolio is it's sort of 10% later stage companies. And these founders have done it multiple times and are very successful from a fundraising and exit perspective. And then most of our companies are very just getting off the ground early, like still figuring things out. And bringing like 30 Latinos, Latinas together in the same room and having them share all of their perspectives and like what worked for them and whatnot was so powerful. So that's what we need more of. And then the last thing I'll say is, like, going back to my champion point, champions, whether it's geographically or through these organizations, with a true desire to bring folks together and be super connectors. Because you just never know in this space. If you're connected to one person, that might go somewhere. That might be a new company right there. Or that might be, a fund that's created that will invest in more Latinos and diverse entrepreneurs. So I think it's all of those things.
I agree. I don't think I'm a super connector. I'm not a connector type. I think, there are people that are like.
But that's what they like to do.
That's what they like to do. I'm not a connector. I'm more of a doer, and I think I'm a mentor. I'm a hard mentor. So if you need people that need hard mentors, let me know.
I know a lot of people who need hard mentors, and that's the best type of mentorship. It's getting real and saying, you got to do this, this, and this.
Yeah, I'm pretty hard. Like, usually they don't come back. So it's like a one-time thing.
I think maybe you should be my mentor then.
Okay, one time. Yeah, it's like, I'm mentoring one of my my early employees at Drift, and he started a company. And I like it because it's like coming back, and it's like, we need to meet more. I need to call you. I need you. It's like, I'm interviewing. I'm doing this now. How I do this, but it's like, I feel like I need to write that stuff. I just don't think there's enough manuals on this thing.
Yeah, there isn't.
They're like fundraising, finding a co-founder, this, interviewing, like, what about this? My personality is, me. I need to fix this. Stay on me, push me. And so, like, I like it when people say push me in this, then I'm like, okay, then I'll call you and yell at you, like, in a good way, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's tough love.
It's tough. No, I only have tough love. It's combined.
I love that. I love that. Just really quickly on one of the points you made, which is like, you'd be surprised at how spending 10 minutes with an early stage founder on something like how to organize a deck and how to position certain slides as they go into an investor conversation. That's what I mean. I think if you have that understanding of like, no one helped you. So, and that, really had an effect on where I ended up fine, I think, knock on wood, we'll see what happens. But I didn't have many people helping me. And so if I did have those people helping me in the earliest stages, maybe, I would have gotten to this space faster, or realized, had certain career realizations sooner. And so that's always in the back of my mind when a founder reaches out to me and says, Ashley, like, do you have the 30 minutes? Do you have the 15 minutes to just hear me out and hear my pitch out, or like help me with fundraising? I love that stuff because it's only 10 minutes that'll, potentially change.
Those are good people, though. Those are good people. It's like I'm telling people all the time, like, well, I tell myself that too, like, you have to spend some quiet time and think through stuff.
Absolutely.
Or practice something, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I'm like, but people don't do it, right? People don't like, I'm going to practice. They just go straight into the pitch, right? And they're like, they don't have time. They're busy. They're running around, right? And they're like, I just put this deck together. I want to do it. Instead of like, well, let me say it to somebody and hear some critical feedback and change it, right?
Absolutely.
So the ones that ask for that, that's a really good flag. Right?
Yeah, that's a good sign. They want feedback and they're coachable.
Yeah. They're coachable, right? So that's a great stuff. I'm going to commend you for that. I'm going to be honest. To say that, like, if I was to become an investor and start a fund and go out there to raise a fund and say I'm only going to invest in Latinos, I don't know if I would do it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really, really tough choice because we're trying to prove ourselves
Yeah,
in another man's game.
sure.
And if we pick like sides like that, we risk not being successful, or we get seen as like charity work, impact stuff, whatever it is. I say the rights. It's like, so like you doing this, you got that Puerto Rican gandules. You know what I mean? Like what is tell me about that decision, right?
Yeah.
And what's the benefit, and why more people should do this?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm very much a believer, and there's different perspectives on this too, that you could achieve financial return and have impact at the same time. And we do that through our focus areas. You mentioned fintech, commerce, sustainability, future of work, and health and wellness. I do a lot of health and wellness and fintech investing. And just in our investments alone, you start seeing these themes of health access and affordability, financial wellness and education. So inherently, you can have an impact investing in these big idea type companies that want to reach the masses, right? On the Latino opportunity, it's just so overlooked, and I don't understand why. Because 80,000 Latinos turn 18 every month. We have $2 trillion of purchasing power, right? Again, we're going to be 30% plus of the population pretty soon, and you have to be silly not to focus on this. That means that as our population grows, there are going to be more founders in this community, right? The country will be speaking Spanish as, if not its first language, its second language. And so...
oh my God, look at that, how strong that is. If not the first language, imagine that.
Exactly, but I really do
Bad
see
Bunny, baby, Bad Bunny.
Well, Bad Bunny should start a fund and maybe make me the GP. No, I'm just kidding. Puerto Rico all the way.
Why not? Let's manifest it here. Let's put it out there, and let's. Should we try to reach the Bad Bunny? We should try to reach the Bad Bunny.
We should try to reach Bad Bunny. You should have him on your show.
You know what? I know the only cool person I know is Pitbull. I know Pitbull. I should get Pitbull on the show.
Pitbull's a good guy, from what I hear. I don't know him personally, but he very much gives back to the community.
But he runs schools in the inner cities for the kids, and the kids love him.
Yeah,
and he makes huge impact.
Yeah,
Those kids are like, I've been to the schools with Pitbull there, and it's like
he actually spends the time.
He actually is putting the time.
Yeah. That's
so.
wonderful.
So we go after Bad Bunny. Let's do that.
Let's go after Bad Bunny. But you bring up a wonderful point too that reminded me of and also there are a lot of Latinas who are getting to these positions of power who actually do want to give back. And I think they're setting an example for everyone else in that, we do have the power to make something of ourselves. I don't know why anyone would doubt that, but it's nice to have these examples of extremely successful artists, investors, business executives, musicians, everyone in every walk of life, and have examples of that, in that, we are powerful and we are resonating with consumers, with fans, with folks on the other side, and that there's a huge opportunity in investing in this.
Absolutely. I think that I think in the past, back in the day, I don't know. I feel like it was a lot more hidden, when somebody was like a successful executive.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it the Coca-Cola CEO? Wasn't he like Cuban or Spanish?
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
Coca-Cola, Roberto Crispulo Goizeta Cantera, Cuban-born American business executive, CEO.
There you go.
So like there was stuff like that, right? But like nobody knew.
And nobody talked about it. Mm-hmm.
Nobody talked about it, right? So I was going to say, like, you know what? If I look back, Latinos have achieved all levels of success from the beginning of time, right? But it was quiet. Yeah. And so what's happened is now my feeling now is that the U.S. is better, America is better. Now we can, more of us are successful.
Uh-huh.
It's a better place for us that is more ready, right? It's still hard. We shouldn't play the victim. We just gotta stay at the hustle.
Yeah.
But now what we're still not doing is telling the stories in our households, to our friends, to our families, in the community, so people know about this.
Yeah.
And then because we've been growing in population, but we haven't necessarily grown in the percentages of success.
Yeah.
To that, and it's because we don't share those successes with one another.
Their storytelling, yeah.
So going back to the schools and telling and showing them, touching, wow, this guy, I'm 5'6", Latino. Look at this, like big nose, brown skin, blah blah blah. It's like I'm gonna be like that. He looks like my dad. He looks like this. Absolutely. He can do it. I can do it. Like what's the big deal? Like,
absolutely.
I don't need to be tall, white, blonde to be successful. So
for sure.
And then we'll get more, but I think that it's coming to it, and so we can't stress out with this first wave of GPs, right? But we need more people to learn the ropes.
Yes,
that's the lesson you need. That way, I was not a good entrepreneur in 2008 when I first started. I'm a little better now, right? But it's still like it's only been 10, 15 years. It's like, do people think that I'm supposed to learn how to do all this stuff at once?
Happens over time. Happens over time, and with, I think, getting thrown into the fire. That's what I appreciated with Marcos, the GP and founder of our fund, is very much like you learn by doing. And that's like the way that I learn. It's just throwing me into the fire and doing deals and talking to people and just being out there and visible. And, I'm learning fast because of that. But I absolutely agree. I think, you need people on the other side and in these roles and who are open to telling their stories to have, little Ashley, who didn't even know she was going to end up in the venture capital space, be like, wow, I want to be like this Latina one day who is a successful investor and who does a lot for the community.
Absolutely. No, I think that's the key. I love this. I think that I love what you're doing, right? And I love that you're investing. How many companies have you invested in?
25. And so 100% of our portfolio is diverse. And I believe 95% plus now with our recent investments are Latinx. Yeah. And so again, it's not a pipeline problem. They're out there. It's funds need to focus on these entrepreneurs.
Jeez, 25 companies.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, I mean, you must have talked to 1,000?
Thousands of companies. We only invest as any traditional venture capital fund in like single digits of the companies that we talk about, right? And so there are amazing Latinos and Latina entrepreneurs out there. We talk to them every single day, and it's a very hard decision to have to pick, only 25 or only 30 eventually in this first fund. But we're not just capital only, we're connectors as well, going back to the
absolutely.
Yeah. And so if it's not a fit for Vamos, we're introducing them to other types of investors that might be able to help.
That's the thing about it is it's that's why I don't want to be an investor. I hate saying no.
Yeah, it's hard. It very much is hard, especially if there's a personal tie there.
Yeah, no. And so so that's why I feel like I want to try to figure out how to do this more at scale. Like, in that, like this story here, if I don't have time to be one-on-one with them, it's hard to like respond to everybody and say that kind of stuff. But here, like, take the stories, listen to the stuff. Yeah. If you're not listening to, you should listen to all of this, and that should inspire you. Like, okay, I can do this week, I can do the next, and at scale, and share that with others. And that's a first place to get to start giving out some help, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and we do like I love that idea because we do refer folks to like a founder library with all these resources, from anything from like building your CRM for fundraising to how to tackle go to market, and we're actually building sort of a Notion library for both our portfolio companies and non-portfolio companies so that they could have some of these resources aggregated in one area.
Yeah, I agree. Like, sometimes when I'm advising people, I go, let's keep a Notion file together, and you write down the notes, and then some days I hope the notes come back and I can just put them together in the book. But it's so much to teach and explain that you only learn by doing. Everybody only learns by doing. So people, if they're to take something from this, one, Ashley's awesome. Two, she likes arroz con gandules, and three, you only learn by doing. And we got to do it more. And who cares if it's how far do we get? No matter. But we're learning. It's just better than sitting at some desk or somewhere else and just not learning. Everything's about learning.
Yeah. And also living someone else's dream. Like, we could make our own paths, and we could achieve our own dreams. So why not go out there and do things?
We don't want to push everyone. Everybody has to be an entrepreneur.
Sure.
Like I just like I don't want people to feel bad like if you're not an entrepreneur.
Sure.
But you could be a fantastic leader,
Mm-hmm.
role model in great companies,
Yes.
right? Where your dream could be influencing, helping your family, getting everybody out of poverty, still generating wealth, right? It could be generational, right? But it doesn't matter. But I just want Latinos to be successful, right, and have no limit. But the entrepreneur stuff, it's hard. It's hard to carry this level of stress every day. It's not for everybody. But I want people to think high, to go really, really high. I want you to be a CEO. I want you to be a VP of sales, VP of product, VP of engineering, SVP, EVP, all that stuff. And then the larger the company, the better, right? But if you start your own company, fantastic. If it's a small company, it's okay. If it's a big company, that's great. We might be in a little bit of a reset in the world where people say it's okay to have a small company that is 5 million in revenue profitable, right?
Absolutely.
So it doesn't have to be, but we want to make sure that people get to a place where they have a business that is like actually sustainable, right? That it can run on its own.
Yeah, and that people are living out their own dreams, whether it's through the entrepreneurship path or, to your point, at a company leading teams. That's completely fine, and we need all Latinos, Latinas everywhere.
Yeah, the important it is to have a dream. It is the dream could be I want to have this for my family. I want to have a vacation home. I want to have a hobby. I want to be able to travel back to my country and see I want to help my mother. I want to help. Whatever it is, but to have dreams. And I think the Latinos, we have a lot of dreams.
Yeah.
We want to show them how to dream bigger.
Amen to that.
Thanks for listening to the American Dream Podcast. Make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss when a new episode drops. If you like this episode, please leave a 6-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you're interested in learning more about my American Dream mission, subscribe to my newsletter linked in the show notes.